evening. What do you want to do tonight?
The same thing we do every night, Pinky. Try to take over the world.
Hey friends, welcome back to another episode of the Amber May Show. I'm glad you're here. I have so much to talk about today. You know, news is dropping. There was an FBI search warrant on a former national advisor of Donald Trump. We're going to get into that. We're going to talk about some winnings that happened with Donald Trump. More winnings are going on. I love it. I love how much we're winning. Then we're going to talk about how Donald Trump goes on patrol in D.C. And of course, there's the protesters. I bet you anything they're paid just to give the facade to the people who watch CNN and MS Now, the fact that there are people against cleaning up a city that is very dangerous. Can you believe that? There's a lot on today's news cycle, so we're going to get into all that on today's episode. So please like, share, subscribe. If you believe in what I'm doing, please consider becoming an Amber May Angel. And the easiest way to do that is right here in the Rumble chat. You could be a $5 monthly contributor. You could give a Rumble rant, or you could be a Locals contributor, $5 a month. You can also go to the ambermayshow.com, hit the donate button, donate whatever you feel you can donate, or pick up a merchandise, shirts, hats. Yeah, I have hats, cups. Go check out the merchandise tab at theambermayshow.com. Some shows you need to check out. Handy News. Go check out Handy News. He has a great show. So you go watch the God Signpost, then you can go watch Handy News. And Tuesday, Thursday, you can come here and watch me right here at 2 p.m. Eastern. Michael Schwartz is off today. Him and Kelly are doing a comedy bit, so we wish them the best of luck. But go follow the Michael Schwartz show. You have God Signpost, like I said, Patriots with Grit, Lady Hamilton Art, Common Censored, The Nun Report with Dan Nunn, Live with Chris's World, and over on Podbean, The Old Man's Podcast, Bella Forever, We Need to Talk with Nick B, The Pulse in Alaska, Crash and Burn, Story and Strength. Go check them out over on podbean.com. If you haven't switched over to Patriot Mobile, why not? It's the only Christian conservative cell phone carrier out there where you can keep your number, keep your phone, or upgrade. With 100% U.S. customer service base, it makes switching easy. So why not? And right now, if you use my name Amber, you can get a free month of service. So go to patriotmobile.com/Amber or 972-PATRIOT. Use my name Amber and get a free month of service. Make the switch today. Okay, well, let's get into it, shall we?
On the Amber May Show, the truth runs deep, fighting for the lost, for the souls who weep, breaking the silence, making a stand, a voice for the people across this land. Children stolen, lives betrayed, she won't back down, she's lighting the way, a beautiful warrior with faith so bright, holding the line in this endless fight. On the Amber May Show, the truth runs deep, fighting for the lost, for the souls who weep, breaking the silence, making a stand, a voice for the people across this land.
I hate when the news uses the word raid. What police are doing are not raiding, they're executing a search warrant. However, breaking news today, I'm sure you've already heard it on every other show, but I must cover it here too, right? John Bolton's home was executed by a search warrant today, and they were wondering about classified documents that might be in his house. So let's listen to this Fox News story as they talk about what happened this morning at John Bolton's home as the FBI executed a search warrant.
The FBI agents have raided the Maryland home of former Trump National Security Advisor John Bolton. It happened at 7 a.m. this morning.
Shortly after the raid began, FBI Director Kash Patel posting on X, quote, "No one is above the law. FBI agents on a mission."
David Spunt joins us now with more on this breaking news. Hey, David.
Hey, guys, not much we can say at this point, but information will continue to develop. As you mentioned, about 7 o'clock this morning, FBI agents raided Ambassador Bolton's home. Notable, we're being told by two government sources that they are looking for classified documents as part of a potential leak investigation. We're told that Ambassador Bolton is not in custody. He's not under arrest, But it is notable they are at his Maryland home right now. We don't know how many agents are there. We're waiting to get a picture of the scene coming in right now. But we're told Ambassador Bolton, who was just on TV on another network a couple days ago talking about the Russia-Putin-Trump summit, is now under FBI investigation. Now, I want to be clear. These are long, and we're looking at some live photographs right now in Bethesda. That's clearly the road where Ambassador Bolton lives. And you can see some police cars outside there. But, you know, this is going to be a long process. We saw the raid of former Trump advisor Roger Stone's home down in Florida several years ago. Eventually, he went to trial. We saw famously in August of 2022, exactly 3 years ago, a little bit more than 3 years ago, the raid on Mar-a-Lago. That still has the FBI in hot water. That's a little bit of a different situation as it was a former president, but it deals with classified documents.
Is every person who works at a desk doomed to get a neck hump? Not if you do this thing.
Guys.
So I did not realize this, but there was a probe going on when President Trump was in office last time because John Bolton wrote a book. And he violated his NDA, the president said, in doing it. And he felt as though there were classified information in that book. The probe dropped when Joe Biden became president. So is this picking up where that left off, David?
It's possible. I don't know with 100% certainty, but it is notable, guys, that John Bolton, Ambassador Bolton's security clearances were stripped earlier this year by President Trump. Tulsi Gabbard, the director of national intelligence, took that security clearance away. They had concerns. The administration had concerns about Ambassador Bolton still being able to access some of these documents and have some of those security clearances. It's also notable that John Bolton had a security detail as well. Because of the threats from Iran on his life, that security detail, that government federal paid security detail, was also taken away by President Trump. So Bolton was to have to get some private security. So we're looking outside this home right now in Bethesda, Maryland. We're told that Ambassador Bolton's being cooperative. He's not under arrest, not in custody at this point. But still notable, 7 o'clock on a Friday morning, that the FBI all of a sudden is knocking on the door of John Bolton's home.
And let's hope that more of that continues. Now, let's just talk about a couple things right here. He talked about Roger Stone. Roger Stone's was completely different. He was a political prisoner. They were going after, remember Christina Bobb came on the show, and she talked about anyone in the Trump circle, anyone who was defending Donald Trump, i.e. his attorneys, anyone who was friends with Donald Trump, were prosecuted. So they were trying to silence anyone who had any influence over society and warn him, if you want to help Donald Trump, then this is going to happen to you. So it was a political prisoner type thing. It was nothing to do with Roger Stone committing crimes, and Donald Trump didn't commit any crimes. And that was a political prosecution that they did against him, trying to get him caught up in some criminal conspiracy where he was the president of the United States and he has the authority to declassify information. He has the ability to take his documents with him when his presidency is over. And that's why I encourage you to go get Christina Bobb's book, Defiant, because she was there witnessing as the FBI, in that case, I will say raid. In that, yes, did they technically have a search warrant? Sure, they did. But remember, she said it was from D.C. So in that case, I would call it a raid because we know that was about political prisoner. But this one, I hate when the media calls it a raid. Police never call it a raid. They either execute an arrest warrant or they execute a search warrant. They don't go raid. They don't gather together in the start of shift and be like, okay, guys, this is who we're going to raid today. No. It just bothers me. It's just little things like that bothers me about the media. Okay, so there's a lady who is shaking right now after what just happened with John Bolton's home. So let's watch this video.
Oh my God, I am literally shaking right now. I just read the news that John Bolton's home was just raided by the FBI. We knew this was going to happen. At the exact same time it was being raided, Kash Patel posted on X, "No one is above the law." And I just want to make one thing really clear. I voted for this.
She had me going. I was just like, who's this valley girl that's crying a river about, oh, poor pitiful me. Like, she had me going for a second. Maybe you guys are smarter than me and you caught on to it before I did. But I was like, I got to play that. It's clever. Don't you just love the wins? I love this. I love the wins. And I sure hope Letitia James isn't above the law and faces her day in court with a criminal investigation where she's a criminal. Like, we can say she's a criminal, like they've been saying about Donald Trump, right? I hope we can get the conviction's the word I'm looking for. So Breitbart's reporting that New York appeals court throws out Trump's $364 million fraud penalty. That's just great. Look at that smile. You know, speaking of smiles about Donald Trump, I saw this video on Facebook about him talking about Jesus Christ, and Facebook wouldn't let me share it. Couldn't. Stupid Facebook. Going back to this, that's so great that he won the $364 million fraud penalty. An appeal court has thrown out the massive civil fraud penalty against President Donald Trump, a huge win for Trump, over the lawfare waged against him in the run-up to his 2024 election victory. I hope she is also thrown in the conspiracy case. And remember how we talked about the Arizona Attorney General? It seemed as though she was paid to go after people like Christina Bobb with the DNC. I think the same thing. Didn't the same thing happen with Letitia James? Like, wasn't she paid to probably go after him? I bet there's tell me in the chat, wasn't there something about that? Or I'm sure there is. If they dig deep enough, they'll find something like that. But she did campaign. She did campaign to go after Donald Trump. And so if that doesn't go into FBI's conspiracy, I don't know what does. But if we can even convict her on just the mortgage fraud or the civil, how she violated his civil rights, I would be happy with that too. A panel of 5 judges in New York mid-level appellate division ruled Thursday that the original verdict secured by New York attorney Letitia James and Judge Arthur Ingrono's court was excessive. The fine could have cost Trump well over $500 million, the Associated Press reported. While the injunctive relief order by the court is well crafted to curb defendants' business culture, the court's order, which directs the defendant to pay nearly $500 million to the state of New York, is an excessive fine that violates the 8th Amendment of the United States Constitution. Judge Diane Renwick and Peter Moltov wrote in an opinion shaping the appeals court ruling. The judge ruled the penalty was cruel and unusual, violating the 8th Amendment, Breitbart News editor-in-chief Alex Marlow posted on X after the decision. This is exact argument I made in my New York Times bestseller, Breaking the Law. Marlow has called for James, the New York Attorney General, to be investigated. Please do. I hope you will investigate. And I hope we can see her convicted. Going along the lines of Letitia James, there's a Fox News brief that I thought we could talk about as the DOJ launched a grand jury investigation to Letitia James for deprivation of rights. She abused her authority by pursuing a political motivated civil case. So let's watch this news clip from Fox.
Washington, what do you know, David?
Well, hi, Dana. 2 well-placed sources familiar with the probe tell Fox News that New York Attorney General Letitia James and her office is under investigation by the DOJ here in Washington. We're told that Attorney General Pam Bondi signed off on the probe. Subpoenas were sent to James's office, and there is a grand jury investigation underway in the New York State capital of Albany. The specific investigation, my colleague Jake Gibson, Ashley Oliver, and myself are being told involves deprivation of rights, which in plain language means someone in a position of legal authority violating someone else's constitutional or legal rights. Those sources tell Fox News the DOJ is going after James because she took then former President Donald Trump to court, quote, simply because she didn't like him and campaigned on getting him. DOJ, led by Bondi, believes she violated his First Amendment rights dealing with free speech. James has said before she believed Trump inflated his net worth to get good deals on loans from lenders and other financial benefits. Ms. James won in a court judgment of over $450 million against the Trump Organization Trump is appealing and it's pending. The entire scope of the grand jury probe in Albany, Dana, is unclear. Grand juries are secretive, but we've learned from these well-placed sources it stems from a recent strike force set up inside the Justice Department to investigate an alleged plot to tie Trump to Russia in 2016. Sources say that strike force has expanded to other topics. Now, to recap, the Justice Department has initiated grand jury proceedings in Albany, New York, against the Empire State Attorney General Letitia James. But remember, this is important. A grand jury simply decides if there's enough evidence to indict. To be clear, we are told this is very early in the process, and no one, as I speak to you right now, is facing any charges at this time. Fox News reached out to Attorney General James's office multiple times, but we've yet to hear back.
Of course not. But yes, that's the first step in this whole process, right? But FBI Director Kash Patel posted something on X along the lines of this conspiracy that he is investigating and the grand jury is deliberating on. So FBI Director Kash Patel says newly classified memos reveal former FBI leadership authorized classified leaks while misleading Congress. Thanks to President Trump's push for transparency, the cover-up is finally being exposed. Accountability must follow. And it looks like a news clipping of exclusive. Prosecutors secure evidence. Comey authorized classified leaks, but declined charges. Yeah. I hope we all see these people not above the law and behind bars. Wouldn't that be great? Here is another win for Donald Trump. All I do is win, 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 no matter what.
To believe Mr. Trump will not be president.
Make America great again. Obama,
you're fired. All I do is
win, 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 no matter what.
Got money on my mind. I can never
get enough. And every time I step
up in the building, everybody go up.
And they stay there. And they say, yeah, bye-bye. And they stay there.
Up, down, up, down, up, down. Because all I do is win, win, win. And if you're going in, put your hands in the air. Make them stay there.
Yep. He's winning again. So let me tell you a quick story that's important to you and your family's health. In 1963, the FDA banned a promising new discovery in the fight against cancer. Leticia, also known as B17, was so popular among its consumers that some 70,000 plus Americans crossed into Mexico to smuggle it back into the United States, according to Newsweek. Leticia was under constant attack by big pharma, big media, big government. Sounds familiar? Kind of like ivermectin. And just like ivermectin, Leticia was both a solution and a problem. You see, Leticia is naturally found in 1,200 plus foods, including apricot seeds. So Big Pharma can't make money off of it, and that's a big problem. In the 70s, Sloan Kettering, an American Cancer Research Institute, found Leticia was successful at preventing cancer and stopping it from growing. That's according to numerous sources at Sloan Kettering and researchers for the movie Second Opinion. So what does this mean to you? Well, I'm going to give you a source for Leticia. So to find out more, go to the rncstore.com, and when you're there, use promo code AmberMay at checkout.
Hey there, I'm Darren. And I'm Randy. We're from Patriots with Grit, and you're watching The Amber May Show. Check it out.
One of my other good friends, Dr. Artis, he has this healing conference coming up. Dr. Artis, Dr. Group, Ely, and Schmidt, they come together for something greater than themselves, each bringing something unique and powerful to the stage, a healing message, not just of hope for humanity's future, but a definitive pathway that everyone is capable of walking in order to transform disease and darkness into bright, shiny, healthy light. They will teach you how to take control of your own health by sharing natural, simple healing solutions for the whole family. So the conference is coming up October 23rd through the 25th. It's in Dallas, Texas, October 23rd through the 25th. If you go to healingfortheages.com and use promo code Amber, you're going to save money at checkout. You are listening to The Amber May Show, and now we return to the show already in progress. Here we go. This Scoutist blog says Supreme Court allows Trump administration to terminate $783 million in NIH grants linked to DEI initiatives. By a vote of 5-4, the Supreme Court on Thursday agreed to allow the National Institute of Health, the largest public funding source of biomedical research in the world to terminate $783 million in grants linked to DEI initiatives. In a brief, unsigned order, the court granted a request from the Trump administration to pause a ruling by a federal judge in Massachusetts that required the federal government to continue making the payments. Also, by a vote of 5-4, the court left in place a different portion of the judge's ruling, which had thrown out internal NIH guideline documents describing the agent's policy priorities. So we love winning. We love winning. Okay, so here's another thing you need to know. Trump administration is reviewing all 55 million people with U.S. visa for potential deportable violations. The State Department said Thursday that it's reviewing the record of more than 55 million foreigners who hold a U.S. visa for potential revocation or deportable violations of immigration rules. And this is coming from SpectrumLocalNews.com. So let's see. The State Department said Thursday visas that allow people to stay in the United States are revoked anytime if there's an indicator of overstays, criminal activity, threats to public safety, engaging in any form or terrorist activity, or providing support to a terrorist organization. In written answers to a question posed by the Associated Press, the department says all U.S. visa holders are subject to continuous vetting, with an eye towards any indication they could be ineligible for the document. And I agree with that. I want to feel safe on the homeland. That's what the federal government's primary job is supposed to be. So if there is any indication that any visa holders are tied to anything that can harm the United States, boom, you're gone. And I don't blame. I'm for that. I am totally for that. I want people who want to be here that are respectful of the law, that want a better life, and is not planning to harm you and I. And the Pew Research Center says that what the data says about immigration in the U.S. is after more than 50 years of rapid growth, the nation's immigrant population is now in a decline. In January 2025, 53.3 million immigrants lived in the United States, and this is, again, Pew Research, the largest number ever recorded in the ensuing months. However, more immigrants left the country or were deported than arrived. By June, the country's foreign-born population has shrunk by more than 1 million people, making its first decline since the 1960s. Think about that for a minute. What happened in the 1960s? We got off the gold standard. We got off the draft. People didn't have to be drafted. Abortions were legal. There was several assassinations in the 1960s. And does that mean that there was a lot? That's when the population, I don't know, because I haven't done a study on the history of immigration here in the United States, but is that when we started allowing a lot of immigrants into our country? And the one thing that why do we even have immigration laws to begin with? All of our past presidents in Congress have done these amnesty. And then women would just give birth, even though they weren't citizens and had no tie to citizenship here. It doesn't make any sense. Like, I'm a daughter of an immigrant, and the reason why I could get citizenship, because my dad had a dual citizenship in his country, and I could gain citizenship because my dad had allegiance to that country. My nieces, their father immigrated here. He has dual citizenship. My nieces got dual citizenship because their father was a citizen of another nation. I grew up with nothing but immigrants. They came here legally. My dad was a pastor of a church of immigrants, all coming here legally, either through amnesty, legal amnesty, or through the immigration policy. But when you constantly have amnesty and you constantly are misusing the amendment in the Constitution, when the amendment for birthright citizenship had to do with slavery, the kids of slaves had birthright citizenship. It was so abused for all these decades. Why would any woman come here legally if they could just get birth? Their kid is automatically a citizen, and then they can gain citizenship eventually through their child. Why would anyone come the right way? Especially if you know that you probably will get amnesty. And then with Joe Biden's open borders, like, why would anyone go through the immigration law? You know, one thing I can't stand about politicians is they say, oh, we need to reform our immigration laws. They're so terrible. And they do nothing about it, which tells me it's a talking point to get their base fired up. But nobody really believes there's anything wrong with the immigration policies that we already have. And Joe Biden was sitting in office as a senator for decades and decades, and he could have wrote legislation if he really thought our immigration policy was that bad to reform our immigration. But I don't think it's really that bad. And if they really thought so, they would have changed it. But they don't want to because it's a talking point. And isn't it interesting, as we talked about with Adam Go yesterday, my European correspondent, how it's the exact same policy as the UK. Just come to our country. You don't need to be vetted. You don't need to have any kind of papers. Just come here illegally. And guess what? Our citizens are going to pay for everything for you, so you don't have to worry about a thing. Isn't that interesting? I mean, there is such an agenda to destroy the Western culture completely. You have to have law and order, and you have to have ways of people migrating to your country legally. Otherwise, it's nothing but chaos, and we've seen nothing but chaos. We've seen taxpayers. I saw a video of this guy. I wish I had it somewhere. I saw it, but I didn't hold on to it, where the guy lived in California. And once the Obamacare came in, he was no longer able to afford his own health care. And then he was getting penalized for not having health care. And then the government of California was giving free health care to illegals. And he said, that's when I left the Democrat Party. I, as a citizen, couldn't get health care. But the taxpayer I was paying as a taxpayer was giving illegals free health care. We have to have law and order. And for decades, our past presidents and our Congress did not obey the law that they created. And they would just allow people come in. So a new Pew Research Center analysis of the Census Bureau data finds that as of January 2025, 51.9 million immigrants lived in the U.S. 15.4% of them, all U.S. residents, were immigrants, down from a record historic high of 15.8%. 19% of the U.S. labor force were immigrants, down from 20%, and by over 750,000 workers since January. Now, Jesse Waters is going to talk about Donald Trump going on patrol in Washington, D.C. And I have so much respect for the president because he just shakes hands of the law enforcement. He shakes hands. He constantly is praising the military and law enforcement. And he has so much pride over our nation that he wants to clean up our nation's capital. So let's listen to what Jesse Waters has to say.
Biden could never walk the beat because he couldn't walk. And Kamala never did it because she was afraid of her prosecutor's shadow. I love that Trump's going out there like a general to inspect the troops. Sometimes I go walking through my pod to see my team booking and cutting tape, and I shake their hands and I introduce myself, and they're inspired. I'm inspired. I'm with Greg. This is the best episode of Cops we're ever going to see. I hope he does a field sobriety test on some sloppy drunk kid from Georgetown. I hope someone they arrest and they pull drugs out of their pocket and Trump's like, that's a lot of crack. I hope he goes out with the Vice Squad and finds Adam Schiff trying to score some dope and some women at some seedy hotel on the wrong side of the tracks.
Women?
Didn't say that. Not that there's anything wrong with that. And the media is all worried about them getting heckled. Of course, it's D.C. Any other politician would have astroturfed the station and had a bunch of guys in MAGA hats saying 4 more years. These guys didn't care. They rolled up, they rolled out, and that's fine. They keep saying, the left, even though she's to my right, that crime is down. Okay, homicides hit a 30-year high in 2023 in D.C. So they're down a little bit this last year in an election year. That's suspicious because they just started juicing the numbers. We just found out they had to suspend a guy for going into the computers at his precinct and downgrading felonies to misdemeanors. Jessica, did you see my show last night?
Yeah, I was glued to the TV.
Good. So you saw the guy who runs the police union in D.C. say that when they get onto a scene and there's a kid with bullet holes all in his abdomen and one of the witnesses won't cooperate because it's gang related, a captain will come onto the scene and say, you know what, we're not going to call it a shooting. We're just calling it taking an injured guy to the hospital.
And that's what they do. They take these trusted sources. Like, we would trust that the city is going to report crime statistics correctly. And they have manipulated our way of thinking for so long because they would take the trusted sources, people of authority, the news, and they would lie to us. They would just blatantly lie to us. Can you believe that they were doing this in DC? They would take something and downgrade the crime instead of cleaning up the crime. They rather downgrade a statistic and gerrymander a statistic than clean up the city. And here Donald Trump comes again, and he's meeting with the military and the police, and he's thanking them and he's praising them. And all he wants to do is clean up our country, the capital. This is how much this man loves the United States of America.
It's a healthy, attractive looking group of people. Well, I just want to thank everybody very much for being here. I wanted to do this. We've had some incredible results. The results have come out, and it's like a different place. It's like a different city. It's the capital. It's going to be the best in the world. We're going to do what you're doing with law enforcement, and very importantly also, we're going to physically do it. We're going back to Congress for some money, and we're going to redo a lot of the pavement, a lot of the medians, a lot of the graffiti's all coming off real fast. It's going to come down real fast. We're working with Clark Construction. They're one of the big ones. They're the biggest here.
And none of our past presidents have ever put any money or any cleanup into the capital of the United States of America. And here he wants to fix the streets. He wants to make the parks more beautiful. He wants to bring crime down. This is what he wants to do. And here's the thing. Black Lives Matter is protesting, cleaning up the streets, protesting, making DC a safer place to live, work, and play, getting rid of criminal activity. You want to protest that? And the conservative alternative on X is saying that Black Lives Matter is a domestic terrorist organization. And here's the pictures to remind us of what happened under the Joe Biden administration with Antifa. They burned cities down. Burning this. And so is the conservative alternative right? Are they a domestic terrorist organization? Are they now on the list? I don't know. But I have to believe these people are paid protesters. Why would you protest a president bringing crime down in the street? Does that make any sense to you? So here a group of protesters are chanting Black Lives Matter. Here we go. Who is this Gigi? Long live Gigi. Tell me in the chat who that is. And what the heck is this sign about? Free DC till it's backwards? What, you want more crime? You want to undo all the jail time of all these criminals that affected Washington, D.C. to make it not safe? Remember, I played video of men saying that they wouldn't go 3 blocks. They wouldn't walk 3 blocks after 8 p.m. because it was so dangerous. Men in Washington, D.C. saying this? What? So you want to go backwards to that? I don't understand that. If anyone in the chat could tell me, what does that mean? Because I don't know.
Black Lives Matter. Thank y'all so much for showing up.
You have to believe they're paid. I can't imagine them not being paid. So this is an anthem from Trump sending the National Guard to Democrat-run cities. Check this little video out. Here we go.
Trump's deploying the Guard. Liberal cities are cooked in charge. Crime rate so high in DC. What city is next? Democrats can't stop this. Trump's deploying the Guard. Liberal cities are cooked in charge. Crime rate so high in DC. What city is next? Let's see. Liberals we like crime. Murder rate so high. No, we're fine. Violent crimes and homelessness because Democrats can't stop this. Democrats can't stop this.
People are so clever. Okay, DC Drano. I know they're saying out there in mainstream media that Donald Trump's a racist because he's going after all the black-run cities, and so he has to be racist because it can't be anything about the fact that they're not taking care of crime. It's just because they're black and he doesn't like black people. That's what they say. Here's what DC Drano was saying on X. The first Black president of Harvard, Claudine Gay, was forced to resign from plagiarism. The first Black woman Attorney General of New York, Letitia James, DOJ investigation of mortgage fraud. And the first Black woman mayor of New Orleans, Latoya Cantrell, indicted for corruption. The first Black woman of the Federal Reserve, Governor Lisa Cook, DOJ investigation for mortgage fraud, all within the past 1.5 years. DEI is doing far more damage than good as it elevates unqualified people based on race instead of merit. Isn't that what I just said? And I'm so glad the Supreme Court is agreeing that it should be based on merit. And he's not going after them because they're Black. They committed crime, or they're allowing crime to be perforated in the street. And he doesn't want crime in the street. Thank God we have a president who wants low crime in the street, so that moms can take their babies to parks, so we can feel safe while we're toting our kids around at the grocery store or at the mall or wherever we're going, that we feel safe in our own country. But for whatever reason, there is a whole agenda out there to make us unsafe in the Western countries, and I don't understand. I do understand. They have to have the takeover of the one world government, right? I mean, I get it, but I don't. You know what I mean? Like, logically speaking, you would think like our presidents and our Congress and our local officials, like our mayors, would want a clean city, a safe city, but they really don't. And it's just hard to wrap your mind around that. At least it is for me, because I love America, and I just don't. You would think like all these elected officials love America, and we find out that they really don't. And we've got a president that does. Thank God. Thank God. Another judge, man. So remember when our friend Adam yesterday came on and we talked a little bit about the corruption in the courts? Well, we saw that Tommy Robinson was talking about the corrupt courts in England. And we know that we have activist judges, corrupt courts here in the United States. But thank God we do still have some judges and some good courts still left in our country. Still left in our country. And I would want to say too, I'm going to go on a limb here because I don't know everything about England, but I'm going to go on a limb and say there has to still be good judges left there, because our God is a God of justice. So I would imagine, unless he lets it get so corrupt to where we cry out to him, just like the Egyptians in the Old Testament, and things got so bad for them that they cried out to God. So God heard them and sent Moses to free them. That's the only reason why he would probably deprive people of justice, is so that people will cry out to him and he'll save the day. Because when things are so good, we forget about God. We don't even care because things are so good. And then God has to remind us, he wants a relationship with us. He wants to be a good God and give us good things. Of course, we live in a fallen world, and he never promised it that we would have an easy life either. He never promised that. In fact, his life here was hard as well, just like our life. But he always uses this stuff to bring us closer, because we tend to forget. I know I'm guilty. I don't read my Bible every day. I need to. That's why I'm trying to get into Bible study, so that at least I'm in the scripture weekly, even though I need to work on that. But he does these things to bring us closer to him. And so going back to the article, NBC News is saying the judge rules alligator Alcatraz can stay open for now. Why? Why for now? I thought this was a great idea. Guys in the chat, what do you think? Or in the comments, write me in the comments or in the chat. What do you guys think of alligator Alcatraz? Isn't it a brilliant idea to put a prison in this area? So the judge rules alligator Alcatraz can stay open for now, but no further detainees or construction are allowed. So within 60 days, the facility must also remove all generators, gas, sewage, and other waste and waste reciprocals, which calls into question how it would operate. So basically, the courts don't move super fast. So I don't know if they're going to be able to house inmates there if there's no waste reciprocals and no sewage or generators. I don't know. Or I don't know if this is just to do with the new construction site. I'm not sure. But they're going to appeal it. But it takes months to get through the court system. It's not super fast. That's why they do that. They have to gum up everything that our side does because they know if they gum it up in the court system, it's going to take a long time. And then we don't get our agenda done. I see no reason why a judge wouldn't want to use alligator Alcatraz. I think it's brilliant. But because it's Ron DeSantis and President Donald Trump, it can't possibly be a good idea. Soft on crime judges, right? Cashless bail judges, right? A federal judge in Miami ruled Thursday that Alligator Alcatraz, the contested migrant detention facility in the Florida Everglades, can remain operational for now, but that it cannot be expanded and no additional detainees can be brought in. The U.S. District Judge entered a preliminary injunction to prevent the installation of any additional industry-style lighting and any site expansion. Her ruling further prevents bringing any additional persons who are not already being detained at the site at this time of this order. The ruling was filed late Thursday, allowing the injunction that was requested over National Environmental Policy Act violations. They always go back to this. Always. Within 60 days, and once the population attrition allows for safe implementation of this order, the facility must also remove all generators, gas, sewage, and other waste and waste reciprocals that were installed to support this project. So it must also remove additional lighting that was installed for the detention facility. Light pollution was a hot topic during this hearing this month. Really? This is a great place to hold criminals, and you want to talk about light pollution? Ugh. It's unclear how the facility will remain operational if those resources are removed. That was my thought exactly. The government must also remove temporary fencing installed to allow Native American tribes access to the site consistent with the access they had before the facility was erected. Do they really want to be on the site where criminals are at? So a spokesman of the Department of Homeland Security, Tricia Laughlin, said in a statement that the ruling ignored the fact that this land has already been developed for a decade. It's another attempt to prevent the president from fulfilling the American people's mandate to remove the worst of the worst, including gang members, murderers, pedophiles, terrorists, and rapists from our country. I don't know why the Democrats love criminals. That is a great place to house all those people. You want to escape? Contend with the alligators. If you can survive. Breitbart News is reporting some activity in Israel and Gaza. So I thought I would share this with you. So Israeli government opposition pushed back on unclaim of famine in Gaza. Israeli government opposition pushed back on unclaim of famine in Gaza. So are they checking out to see if the famine in Gaza is real or not? The Israeli government and the opposition rejected new claims Friday by the United Nations that there is a famine in Gaza. Nothing that Israel provides ample aid and that the only starving people are Israeli hostages. As the Times of Israel noted, the claims of famine was based on a report by the Integrated Food Security Phase Classification, whose data was debunked immediately by Israeli officials. The Times of Israel noted a global hunger monitor declared for the first time on Friday that the famine has struck and densely populated northern Gaza Strip, some 22 months after the outbreak of war in the enclave following the deadly Hamas invasion on Israel on October 7th. The charge was swiftly denied by Israel and the coordinators of government activities in the Terrorist and Defense Ministry body and overseed aid, accusing the Integrated Food Security Phase Classification System of basing its report on biased and self-interested sources originating from Hamas. According to the IPC report, an estimated of 514,000 people, or nearly a quarter of Gazan population, are experiencing famine, and that number is expected to rise to 641,000 by the end of September. The UN Secretary General seized on the report for a call for an immediate ceasefire in Gaza. However, the Israeli government rejected the claims, as did opposition figure Benny Gantz, who left a national unity government over difference with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. He posted on X, as a former IDF chief and minister of defense, I can declare unequivocally Israel has never adopted the policy or even enabled the practice of purposeful starvation. He said that the UN was acting on a political agenda. And Gantz also endorsed that the Hamas Humanitarian Foundation, which has delivered over 130 million meals to Gaza using American funding and Israeli backing, as well as private security contractors. The Israeli government has rejected such claims before, noting that many starving Palestinian children cited in the international media actually had other ailments. Netanyahu has also threatened to sue the New York Times over such claim. I don't know what is true. I really don't. I sure hope that they're not starving. I don't trust the Hamas to not take resources from the people of Gaza. I hope that this is not a CYA on Israel's part. I want to hope that this article, when we hear from Israeli Times, that it's true. So I don't know. I don't know if this is true or not, but this is the claim. This is what Israel's saying, that there's not a famine. And I would hope that would be true of Israel, not to use starvation. I think they would, but hey, I'm going to get to that thought in just a second. But right now, I'm going to take a quick break. Hey friends, if you're looking for a doctor you can trust, look no further than Dr. Stella, and you can find her at drstellamd.com. Let me show you one of the areas that I love about Dr. Stella. I enjoy supporting the immune system, especially when it comes to cold and flu season. And I love the Covey Light, the Covey Sleep, especially if you're having trouble sleep at night. Get that Covey Sleep. It'll help you so much. So not only are you supporting the immune system, but it also helps you get a good night's sleep. The Covey Spray is super easy. Covey Vites. These are my favorite, the Covey Vites. She has placed vitamin C, D, zinc, and quercetin. And we all know that zinc helps support the body's immune system, but zinc needs a delivery system. So that quercetin is the delivery system to drive that zinc in to help your body heal faster and feel better. Also has Covey vitamins for kids as well. Hey, and if you're looking to get ivermectin or hydroxychloroquine, or you just feel under the weather and need a doctor you can trust, set up a telemed appointment with her. And the best part is when you use my name, Amber or Amber May, at checkout, whether you need your Covey Vites or a telemed appointment, you will save money at checkout. So don't forget to use promo code Amber or Amber May at checkout to save some money. So go visit drstellamd.com and then use promo code Amber or Amber May at checkout to save some money.
I'm Steve Gruber from Real America's Voice, and you're watching The Amber May Show.
Ever thought about having your own podcast? Let me show you how easy it can be. Worried about tech and the mic? I break it down in the course. Thinking that you need some expensive studio? I show you the kind of studio and how easy it is and cost effective it is to start your own podcast today. Starting your own podcast can be overwhelming, and I show you the right steps to launch your show successfully. So join me at Podcast Like a Pro. I'm Amber May with over 20 years of experience in the broadcasting and podcasting world, and I could show you how to podcast like a pro because I am a pro. So become a pro just like me by going to theambermayshow.com. Look for the tab Podcast Like a Pro, and what's even better, prices have been slashed. Save over $100 when you use promo code Amber at checkout. I slashed the price and I'm adding a promo code into it. So join now. Now is the best time to be a podcasting pro just like me. So go to theambermayshow.com, hit Podcast Like a Pro with the newer, lower prices. And don't forget promo code Amber at checkout. You are listening to The Amber May Show, and now we return to the show already in progress. I don't know. So let's just hope those people are not starving in Gaza. Trump says he'll fire Fed Governor Lisa Cook if she doesn't resign. This has come from CNBC. President Trump said he will fire Federal Reserve Governor Lisa Cook if she does not resign from her position. Yes, she committed mortgage fraud. You should be gone. Bye-bye. Cook, an appointee of former President Joe Biden, has come under fire from the Trump administration over allegations of her mortgages. If Trump were to successfully remove Cook for cause, he would get the chance to reshape the central bank's governing board potentially for years to come. How about we defund and stop using the central banks? How many people in the chat want to end the Federal Reserve? I hope I see a lot of hands going up. comment below too if you're watching this if you want to end the Federal Reserve. So President Donald Trump said Friday he will fire Federal Reserve Governor Lisa Cook if she does not resign from her position. What she did was bad, the president told reporters who asked about Cook, an appointee of former President Joe Biden. I can't really say that very well. Who was under fire from the Trump administration over allegations of mortgage fraud. So I'll fire her if she doesn't resign, he said during a surprise visit to the People's House, the Museum of the White House. And if Trump were successfully remove Cook for cause, he would get the chance to reshape the central bank's governing board potentially for years to come. I hope that means he'll get rid of the central bank for years to come. Okay, so I had my guest come on yesterday. Remember, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I'm here at 6 p.m. Eastern. Tuesday, Thursday, I'm here at 2 p.m. Eastern. And yesterday, I had my European correspondent join us. And let's see. We were talking about what was happening in Europe. We were talking about mostly what was happening in England with Tommy Robinson. And Breitbart's reporting that Europe, let me share this with you. This is very disturbing. I know I heard that this was a growing thing, but it's very disturbing. Europe embraces death. Trump keeps America fighting. Now, I thought this was just like in, what is it called? In Deutschland? No. There is one where my husband's pastor is from. I thought that was the only place that they were doing this. And I can't think of the country off the top of my head. I thought that was like one of the few. I knew there was a few others, but I didn't think it was a growing trend. So the elites love to praise Europe. The elites love to praise Europe. It's universal health care. It's 36-hour work week. It's tasteful, curated despair, but they never talk about what Europe really exports now. And that's assisted suicide. So these are things I should probably write down and talk about with Adam next time, because I think you guys want to do a Q&A. So please write me in the chat if you guys would be interested in coming on my live show on, like, I would like to have him back on like a Tuesday or Thursday because of his difference in time. It will be easier since I go in earlier, since he lives overseas. So if you guys would come in on a Tuesday, Thursday, let me know. But I should write that down. Assisted suicide. And talk to him about that. See if he knows anything that he could shed some light on this. So let me know if you guys are interested in the chat, if you'd come in on a Tuesday, Thursday. Because if you guys say yes, and you guys, I want you to write some questions, because TV Green had a great idea about how about we do a Q&A. I emailed him. He said, book me. I'm ready to do that. So that means in the next week or so, I'd like to book him on my Tuesday, Thursday show, and you guys come with your questions. And I don't know how long to do the segment for, because it just depends how many questions I get. But it's universal health care. Okay, so countries across Western Europe are legalizing assisted dying. The United Kingdom drew headlines on its pro-suicide laws recently, but such laws already exist in Australia, Belgium, Luxembourg, Spain, and elsewhere. Switzerland has actual suicide pods. The Netherlands, Belgium both legalized euthanasia back in 2002. I think that's where his pastor's from, the Netherlands. And people are literally dying to take advantage. And I can't believe this. And in Belgium, there were more than 3,400 cases of euthanasia in 2023, up 15% from 2022. The Netherlands have more than 9,000 euthanasia cases the same year, up 87% since 2013. These cases aren't limited to 90-year-olds with terminal cancer. Young Netherlanders are now killing themselves with state-assisted Europe. At least Western Europe has a lot of will to live. Oh, no, sorry. At least Western Europe has lost the will to live. Meanwhile, America continues to fight for life, liberty, and opportunity, which is why the United States rejects the right to die and instead embraces the right to try. In May 2018, President Trump signed into law the Right to Try Act, which enables those terminal diagnoses to obtain experimental drugs that have passed phase 1 trials, but have not yet approved by the Food and Drug Administration. The FDA has strict guidelines about clinical trials that are probably correct in many instances, but not for those with no other hope. And we talked about this. Me and Adam talked about this yesterday. It's faith that gives us hope. Faith in Jesus Christ that gives us hope. And we talked about, I showed an article that there is like a resurgence, at least in England, of Christianity. Christianity is almost all but died in Europe. And without the hope of Jesus Christ, you have no hope. You know, when my loved ones die that I know knows Jesus Christ, I know I'm going to see them again. I have hope in that. But where there is no hope, there is despair. And so I would hope that there will be a resurgence of Christianity in Europe because Jesus is our hope. And he gives us hope and a future. For I know, my favorite verse, for I know the plans I have for you, says the Lord, plans to prosper you, not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future. Although most Democrats voted against this life-saving bill, what's up with Democrats? High crime, and they want assisted suicide? 41 states have previously passed their own right to try legislation, starting with Colorado in 2014. The president's supports for innovative medical care and part of the Make American Biotech Accelerate initiative he's unleashed in his second term. America has always led the world in developing new medicines. In some years, for example, the U.S. invented more new prescription drugs than the rest of the world combined. I don't know if that's good. I'm not really sure if that's a good thing or not. It is critical for the U.S. to maintain this leadership position, especially given China's rapid growth in this area. China, too. China's state-subsidized clinical trials continue to accelerate. Total clinical trial involvement by China scored to 300% from 2017 to 2023, capturing the third globally. Wow. That's not great news. I want to thank you guys so much. I'm not sure who we were rating into, but I'm sure we're going to rate into either Lady Hamilton or Common Censored, so I'll leave that up to the moderators. Love you guys. Take care. Thank you for joining us today on the Amber May Show. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Please make sure you like, share, and subscribe. And if there's someone that came to mind, please share this episode with them. Please follow us on Telegram at The Amber May Show, True Social Amber May, Frank Socially Amber May, or Clout Hub. I can't wait to see you next time on the Amber May Show.